Hi there, Loy Machedo. Speaking to you from loymachedo.com. Who's Loy Machedo? Think Personal Branding. Time right now is 3:43 in the morning. Just woke up, couldn't sleep, so I thought I'll make this video. Let me have a sip of my espresso. Wow. Oof, 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 oof. Oof. Okay. Finally the powers come. Ooh, if you drink ultra strong espresso without sugar, the first taste gives you a kick. Okay, anyway, I'm looking at the screen, so that's why I'm looking there. Here it says UAE sentences Israeli woman to death for cocaine possession. Okay, it was dated 5th April 2022, and today's date is 8th April 2022. Okay, I wouldn't have made a video on this because, okay, woman got caught for drugs, and crime is a crime, and but what surprised me was when this news came that she was sentenced to death. Okay, that kind of rang a bell. That was number one. And the second thing was now it's becoming a political drama. Okay, and I started obviously wondering, why is this why is this growing to such an extent? Why are they carrying it to such an extreme? And then, because I spoke to one of my contacts who is into all this in the sense, not into cocaine and all that, into the law and working with the cops and the lawyers and the courts and all that. He's also a political analyst. This is his, he is in my input. So listen to it and give me your thoughts. Okay, why? What do you think? Okay, so let me give you my interesting take on this. So UAE sentences an Israeli woman to death for cocaine possession. Now, first things first is, drugs, cocaine and hard drugs like these, they are a serious offense in any part of the world, okay? Some countries, they may have a slightly lenient thing, like they'll just keep you in jail, and some jails are kind of like, if you are in a jail in the West, it's more like a nice holiday resort, you kind of have 3 square meals a day, unless, of course, you're going for some bloody solitary confinement or a hardened prison, like extreme prison, okay? However, in other countries, like for example, let me give you an example here in Thailand. If you just do a Google search on YouTube, okay, there is I think it's called the Tiger Prison, or these prisons, they are so extreme, they are so horrific. It is like actually watching a horror movie. I've made a book review of this prison, which is the most dangerous or the most notorious prison in Thailand. One Australian guy got caught for drugs. It is so disgusting the way they are made to suffer. You might want to switch your audio off if you don't want to listen to this, because I'll give you 3 examples of how graphic it is. So, and then I'll tell you, okay, it's done. I'll give you the signal. So here's my signal if you don't want to hear something disgusting. Okay, 1, 2, 3, start. Okay, the first one is they put you in shit, human shit. They open a septic tank, they put you in human shit, actual human shit. This is like a dirty septic tank. They put you all the way to here, this much of shit, and they keep you there for the whole day in the afternoon sun. Okay, that's one way how they torture you. Second one is they give you food which is rotting from the garbage in the sewage. They give you that kind of food to eat, and there are maggots and worms and dead rats in it. Oof, I can't even think about it. it is so extreme that these guys, they actually try to catch rats, cockroaches, and even if they catch a kitten, they will eat the kitten to the bone. An actual story, and these are all true. And the third graphic example is they in that prison they have solitary confinement where they keep these guys where the people are shitting, pissing, whatever, and they end up getting worms on their body, and the worms end up housing inside their flesh where they have to cut this thing. It's like the beginning example of this book. I can't get it right now. I'll see if I can. The guy, he was paining and screaming and all that, and he went and he saw this thing moving on his neck, and he was like, "What the hell was this?" And when they cut it with a blade, all worms started coming out. Whew, it's such a horrific place. Okay, so even though people are aware of all these things happening, still, this is the funny thing, still people from the West, they read all this, they know all this, they still take drugs through the airport. That is why if you come down to Thailand for a holiday, as soon as you get to the airport, with big bold signage, it is said, if you get caught with drugs or anything, it's life imprisonment, or there's no mercy. Still, people take drugs. For the life of me, I can't understand. In fact, let me tell you something shocking here. I stay in Samui, okay? Small island. There are a lot of questionable characters that come here. A lot of questionable characters, okay? And questionable in the sense that they don't have any social media. They don't keep any social media. They don't like to interact. They just don't want to interact with them. But they're very, very extremely rich. And if you check the news, you'll find out later on that one of the person who had a big, huge, luxurious villa on top of a mountain constructed, custom made villa, he was an underworld don, or he was some big mafia member or something like that, but he was keeping a very low profile. Imagine on this island where simple, poor people are there, you'd see a custom Rolls Royce or custom Ferrari, or you'd be like, whoa, what the hell? Because imagine, you have to pay almost like, I think, 50% extra of the value just for tax, and then you have to ship it all the way, any luxurious vehicle from Thailand all the way, bring it to the small island, and maintenance. There are no parts. Like, for example, for my iMac, even though there are outlets here for Apple-based products, if I need anything original or even a repair, it would take me at least 1 month to 3 months. So imagine, these kind of individuals are there who have so much of wealth and such rare items here. So, and why I tell you that they're very questionable characters. For example, if you're taking a selfie or a video, and by mistake, any of these people, they feel that they came within this thing, they would walk up to you and say, "Excuse me, you took my video, delete it now." And, they make a big noise about it. So, I'm not saying all of them are like mafia members, all of them are big baddie guys. But there are some people who just, maybe they have had jail term, or maybe they have had a life which was very questionable. And then also, remember this, in these third world countries, most of these, they call them not expats, they call them sexpats. Okay, they come here for sex, they come here for drugs, they come here for getting high. You can even search, it's called full moon parties. Full moon parties is the whole night, they are on the beach and they're taking drugs and pot and this and that and partying and sex and all that. And many of them come for the most disturbing kind of sexual experiences. The most disturbing, like if you check for Africa or many of these third world countries where they do not have strict laws, like in the Philippines also, there are men, Westerners, even I'm talking of decent human beings who are coming, sorry for the pun, means family people who occupy important positions, who are very decent. If you look at their profiles of some of the people who have been caught for pedophiles, they're very decent human beings, very, very, but they've come here for sex with 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds. In Philippines, they just changed the law that sexual consent means was raised for the age from 12, now it's gone to 16 or something. It's still shocking. I mean, you're saying that a 12-year-old can have sex, and that also with a grown-ass man. So many of them come for all this crazy stuff and all this dirty, this thing, which is, oof. Okay, so anyway, What I was telling you is, now, even though people are aware that such horrific punishment awaits you, but sometimes they even kill you to death, okay? Still, people break the law. It just baffles me. I mean, just think about it. Just for maybe $10,000, just to get that kind of money, are you willing to take the risk of being in a prison camp, which is so extreme, where you're shackled, hands and legs? You have to sleep in a small, like, think a room that can house 20 people sleeping on the floor, no AC, nothing. Instead of 20 people, they put maybe 80 or 100 people. Like, you're sleeping literally next to another person. You can smell their breath, you can smell their, and they don't wash, they don't have bath. The public toilet is, the toilet is just there. You have to open in front of everyone, shit and piss there. Oof. So even though people are aware of all this nonsense, they still break the law. So it's nothing new or people breaking the law. And I was telling you where I stay, right? There was a 20-year-old or 21-year-old girl, very beautiful, very, very beautiful girl, just maybe a few kilometers away from where I stay. It was so shocking. This girl looks like think of an innocent small girl who you would know, any small innocent girl in her 20s. This innocent looking thing from, I think she was from South Africa or whatever. Um, you know, she got caught for drugs. She got caught for drugs. And what had happened was, long story short, there were some packages that were coming in, and she used to sign it for her boyfriend or something like that. And she claims that whatever packages come, she would just sign it, and you know. And one day there was a raid, and one of the packages that she accepted had, drugs in them. Maybe it was a sting operation or whatever. And they found her signature there, and she claims that she doesn't know what she's accepting from her boyfriend. And they not only traced that shipment to who sent it, they caught that person, but they caught the person who was receiving it as well. And the sad part was, the girl signed it. She signed off as, I received it. Okay. So they caught her. Now, the unfortunate thing is, the boyfriend apparently was not there. So she signed on behalf of him. So she got caught. Boyfriend didn't get caught. And she claims that she never, knew what it was, which is anyone's guess whether she's guilty or not. And why I'm bringing this up is, this actually was posted on Facebook and asked all of us, please help contribute some money to get her a lawyer, because even having a lawyer is too expensive. And eventually nobody could do anything, and they fell short of arranging the lawyer. And now imagine this 20-year-old girl, a person like you and me, a normal person, is now going to spend the next 30 years of her life, 30, 35 years, or even 40 years behind bars in the conditions that I've stated. Is it worth it? So, so the point I'm trying to make here is, there are people who are aware of such punishment, and yet I don't know why they don't use their common sense. They still take the risk of getting caught. So even with this female, is she guilty or is she not, is a very big question. See, there are two thoughts that come to my head. Number one is, yeah, she can be guilty, because these people are called mules. Mules means they just have to transport the drugs. However, the history of people getting caught and then being framed for it is very, very high. You can check on, there's an Indian, this thing, and how I came to know this story was, the politician in India who kind of sped up this process. I was in touch with them when I was speaking. It was an Indian couple that went to Qatar, okay, and they got caught for drugs, and they were jailed for their honeymoon. And what they claimed was, they didn't know what the parcel was. And she claimed, the female or the male claimed, that it was given to them by their own aunt. Imagine, own flesh and blood. And later on they proved it, that it was indeed the aunt who gave them this packet to deliver it to someone. And she, being rich and successful, she told them, I'm giving you a gift of going for a honeymoon. And she forced them to go for this honeymoon to Qatar. And they believed her, because it's an aunt. it's your own flesh and blood. So she got caught in India, and later on they got freed, but after nearly 2 years of suffering in prison. It is thankfully that the Indian authorities at the highest level got involved. And, I spoke to them and all that. And, I was also shocked that India does care about its citizens, because the population itself is so big. So they got released, but after nearly 2 years. So it was a shock. So the point here I'm telling you is there are cases where people are being framed. So is there a possibility that she could be framed? Yes, there is a very strong possibility. But is there also a possibility that she is actually guilty? She's one of those hippie nut jobs who knows that it is wrong and they still take a risk? Yes, that is also there. So, but, I don't know. I'm just giving you both the options. Okay. So Israeli woman sentenced to death for cocaine possession. Now, the court in UAE has sentenced this woman to death. She was found guilty of 500 grams of cocaine. The woman named by Israeli media itself released her name. And one of the reasons why they release a name, this is one of the strategy they use in psychology, is when you give a name, it gives a very human connection to people. That is why even when a person's kidnapped, they give it a name. They tell the actual name. They tell what the mother or father called them, what was their nickname. So they try to kind of create a humane kind of connection. This is psychology 101 used by the FBI, CIA. It's not that I'm a genius and I'm telling you this. This you can search in books of psychology. Okay, this is what they do, especially in terms of negotiation at that level. So her name is Fida Kivan, is appealing the sentence. In a statement by Israeli Foreign Ministry, the case is known. We are handling it through consular service, and our representatives in Emirates declined to comment further. Israeli media reported that Kivan, who owns a photography club in Haifa in northern Israel, came to Dubai to work a year ago. She was arrested a week later, and police found cocaine in her apartment she was staying. In fact, there was this UK guy, UK football player. He got caught for some, I don't know, just smoking a pot or something like that. And he also claims that, no, it was planted or something like that. I had made a video on it. But see, my stance is, if you're a drug dealer or you're dealing with all this, there should be absolutely no humanity or compassion. We don't need such elements. These drugs, they actually destroy people's lives. They harm. I don't have any experience. Don't mind me. I don't have any experience and I do not know what it does. But as far as I've seen these documentaries, it destroys. It just destroys. It's an addiction. It's a hardcore thing. Like even my cousin, who is there in Canada, told me in Canada they have legalized weed. Now, weed is obviously different. It is like these mushrooms and all that they smoke. It's legalized there. But once people start, having a taste of it, it's like smoking, drinking, weed. You don't get out of it. It gets into your system. It's there in your system. Example, I love chocolate. See, let me show you. See, I love chocolates. I finish eating this chocolate. Okay. I'm not advertising for that. I'm just telling you, I love chocolates now. Even though after my bariatric surgery, if I eat chocolates and the sugar goes high, I still feel dizzy and I feel weak and all that. But I can't help it because I love chocolates. I love ice cream. I purchased Rocky Road chocolate, this thing which was at 50% off. I ended up buying it. My daughter liked it. So I ended up buying 6 buckets because it's 50% off. So, the thing is, once you tend to have a weakness for something, or vice, mine is food, mine is chocolates, you will always love that. Even gambling or even buying IT, like, I have what, 6 iPads and tablets, so it's a habit. We tend to fall for a habit. So even drugs and alcohol and all this is an addiction. Okay. So, but she claims that drugs were not hers. Now, the death sentences are rarely carried out in UAE. Now, this is the part that I wanted to mention out to you. See, death sentences in UAE is very, very rare. Normally, they will be sentenced for 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 30 years, whatever. And then they reduce the sentence and they deport them back. And I also put a video where my own friend got framed for a particular drug. You can check the video. Known friend. I know him very well. And he just had to deliver the medicine from the pharmacy, from the actual pharmacy. He had to give one guy a controlled tablet. He said, I'll give you the prescription. You can check that video. He's actually a friend of mine. He got beaten and they asked him forcefully to sign to sign a confession. He didn't know what he was doing. And when he said, I don't know, this is not English, they beat him again and again and again until he finally said, okay, fine, I'll sign. He got released eventually. He got released, and now he is back in India. And after, I think, nearly 10 years or 5 years or whatever, 10 years, his life is completely up and down. He suffered like crazy. The company that he worked for didn't give a damn. Now, it was not hardcore drugs. It was actually being sold in the pharmacy. Okay, but only thing you needed a prescription. So this guy asked, and he went, and later on he said that someone from the company tried to frame him for that. So the laws of UAE don't actually kind of punish you with death. But when they say death sentence and they publicize it, they are trying to make a statement. Now, my gut feeling is why UAE is sentence this person to death is to get media coverage and publicity. And I'll tell you why. It's not to be famous. It is to create fear, because the number of Israelis who are coming into the country is just skyrocketed. And the number of Israelis who are smoking, drinking, doing all these drugs, prostitution. See, it's not mentioned in the media. It's not mentioned in the media. And how, you'll ask, how do I know about it? Well, I have friends in the hotel industry. I have friends who are decision makers. I have friends who are in the police. I have friends, and they talk about all this, but they can't put it in the media. They can't put it in the press. And I have even friends who are journalists. They say, Loy, I have this piece of news. I can't talk about it. Okay. Because my editor said, no, it's not allowed. The minister in every media house, that is Gulf News, Khalij Times or National Paper, there is a team from the ministry, educated Emirati people. They will look at each news that comes in and this is rejected, this is rejected, this is rejected, this is okay, this you have to change the words. So they're very particular of UAE's image. Now, the reason why I feel UAE has explicitly said, okay, for this news, one is to get a death sentence, so the second one is for it to be public, is because they want to make a public message. They want to give a fear to all these Israelis who are coming in. In fact, you saw my previous video where this Russian guy, or Russian with Israeli, he had all these naked models. They're making a sex video or something. They were all standing on the balcony in Marina. I had the video clippings, although I couldn't show the video clipping, and it was circulating online. This was never there before the Abraham Accord with Israel was signed. All this never happened before. And all of a sudden it's everywhere. And what did they do? They just acted as if, oh, this is okay, not allowed, this is haram and this and that. Even though prostitution takes place, even though all this takes place. But UAE is a place where they're saying, okay, do all this, but do it quietly. Don't make noise. I know this because when I was young, I used to ask these police guys in the police station, you know prostitution is going, like when I was staying in Dera, sorry, not Dera. I was staying in Dubai, Karama, Dubai, near what was that hotel near the Falcon Roundabout? I can't get the name of that hotel. It was so famous for prostitutes. The whole hotel was only prostitutes. Whole hotel. Everyone knew that. Okay, I was staying opposite to that. One day I met this police guy, young chap, and I said, prostitutes are there. And we could see them standing outside 3 o'clock in the morning. I finished DJing. So he was taking our papers and everything, and he was a CID. So he just checked, and then, casually he just asked him, you're CID, right? I said, these are all prostitutes, and you allow all that? He told, Yahi, he was laughing. He said, Yahi, if nobody complain, if they don't do any problem, okay, do quiet, mind your own business. So that is the exact thing he told me. So in the same way, they know that people come, for sex or gambling or prostitution and all that. You just have to Google search via VPN, Dubai escorts or Dubai call girls or UAE Dubai or UAE whatever. Even these massage parlors. How many friends do I know? How many clients of mine who go for special massages? It's obvious that all this exists. But as long as you do it quietly, it's okay, fine. But the minute it starts being very noisy, then it's a problem. So because the Israelis are so bold that Israel will always interfere, they just don't care a damn, and that is causing a massive headache, a massive issue. So the reason why they said death sentence and they're putting it in the paper is to give a loud message to all the Israeli, those free thinkers and those hippies and all that. Listen, you come in the country, you're going to get into serious trouble. Now, what do I think is going to happen? This is the end of the story, which I feel, this is my prediction, they will eventually release the girl. They will let her go, but they're not going to do it easily. They're going to take at least maybe 1 year, 1.5 years, or 2 years, or they're going to drag this issue for some time, and they're going to ensure that it is in the media so people read it. Now, obviously, if someone from Israel reads it, shush, this is your death sentence for if I take drugs, they'll be like, no, 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 I don't want to risk taking this. So there's going to be a little bit of fear. The second thing is UAE will not ill-treat her. They will not ill-treat her. Neither will they kill her, because Israel wants to support its citizen. Like even that Tinder swindler, they want to support its citizen, allow, nobody can touch our citizens. Our citizens are precious. Our citizens are VIPs. Like even if it's an American citizen, the governments are very powerful. Okay, that's why I told you, India interfering was a very big shock to me. But if US does or Israel does, it's normal. They kind of have this ego thing that our citizens are VIP, you are lesser than us, you can't, give death sentences to our citizens, okay? You release them, we'll punish them. That's the thing. So the Israeli lawyer specializing in Emirati law, who isn't involved in the case, said that he expected the UAE courts to commute the sentence, and added that there's no formal repatriation agreement between UAE and Israel, but I feel they will let her go. Then afterwards, in the end, they say the establishment of diplomatic relationship between UAE and Israel as part of Abraham Accords has led to a surge in Israeli visitors. Not all of them have been tourists and business people. Our Dubai office also noticed a rise in criminal cases that Israeli citizens are a part of, said Agbon. Israelis have to understand the legal authorities in Dubai treat drug cases seriously. And then there is also this article by Middle East Monitor that says Israel can't live with death sentence for a citizen in UAE. Here it says what? Fida Kivan was arrested in Dubai last year for dealing with 50 grams of cocaine, 500 grams of marijuana. Her lawyer said Tammy Ullman. Then they say the state of Israel cannot live with one of its citizens getting a death sentence, all the more for the offense on that scale. Okay, which in Israel, it is, you get only a few years in jail. Okay, so Israel is very lenient where drugs are concerned. While the number of crimes incur capital punishment in UAE are rarely implemented, the last two publicly reported executions were in 2015 for terrorism and murder case, into 2017 for raping and killing a child. Okay, which I believe they should castrate the person and publicly name and shame this person. The UAE foreign minister didn't respond to a request to comment on the case. Ullman said she's working with an attorney based in UAE to file an appeal in Kivan's case, the goal of reducing her sentence, and she has also asked the Israeli Foreign Ministry for help. In 2020, Israel secured a release of one of its citizens who was sentenced to jail in Russia for drug offense, following a high-profile lobbying campaign. It's Ramadan, we want Fida home, a childhood friend, 38-year-old Palestinian citizen of Israel told Reuters. All we want is pardon, we want her to live. Yeah, if you want pardon, stop all this shit. That's what I say. For anybody, not just for her. Now, is she guilty, is she not guilty? Was she framed, was she not framed? I don't know. I'm hoping that she didn't commit the crime on purpose. But if she committed the crime on purpose and she knew what she's doing, well, everything has a price to pay. Now, for my opinion, all people who commit such serious crimes, the punishment should be so bad that people are afraid to commit the crime. Because in the end of the day, you're making money through all this nonsense, but you're destroying lives, which, you can affect even children, families. Anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? And yeah, Google search whatever I've said. I'll try to put some of the links down below and let me know your thoughts. This is me signing off. You guys take care.